we got this letter. I came up with a potential name for the scenario Jeff describes concerning the disparity between the sum total of actionable rights enjoyed by different groups. And we did talk about that when I came up with the, say men have this number representing their amount of rights, and women have that number representing their amount of rights.
Sure.
And men improve their number without hurting the other groups, without hurting the number that women have, and thinking that's okay. Mm-hmm. Right? That was the mathematical analogy. He's talking about that. I think the dodgy reasoning advanced by men's rights advocates should be called the Pareto improvement fallacy.
Pareto?
I need some help with that.
Our listener uses a word with which we are not familiar. I looked it up.
No.
It's the name of a guy. He was an Italian economist or something, I believe, in the early 1900s. What he's referencing here is this concept where, say, you have a box with 100 toy blocks in it, and there's two children. And Jimmy takes for himself 51 toy blocks. There are only 49 left for Billy. And if Jimmy takes another one, then I've lost track of their names now. If the kid who has more takes another one, the kid who doesn't have it now has less. That's what he's referencing, that concept. And he's saying there is a fallacy that men's rights advocates are bringing to bear when they argue against the model that I was proposing. It says there's a strong parallel to be drawn between the scenario Jeff outlined and the problem of economic inequality, which some fiscal conservatives try and argue against by invoking the idea of Pareto efficiency. The argument offered by both MRAs and some fiscal conservatives is that an increase in the aggregate total of X has occurred, but no individual or group has been absolutely disadvantaged by that increase. According to this logic, it's fine for men's rights to increase from 2.0 to 2.1 as long as women's rights stay at 1.8 and don't decrease. Had women's rights dropped to 1.7, they would have been absolutely disadvantaged because the men's gain would have come at a result of the women's loss, and the change would not qualify as a Pareto improvement.
Okay.
The problem, of course, is that even if women's rights stay at 1.8, the gap between the two genders has increased by men gaining 0.1, meaning that women are now at a greater relative disadvantage to men than they were before. The argument invoked by MRAs only holds true if you begin with the premise that only the total quantity of rights in existence matters, and the question of who actually exercises them is irrelevant.
Right.
Accepting such a premise can lead to absurd situations where, for example, titled landowners or any other privileged group could enjoy an extraordinary quantity of rights while everyone else enjoys virtually none. We disagree with the MRAs because we instinctively recognize that there's a problem to be addressed if men have 2.0 rights and women have 1.8, just like we would if tyrannical monarchs had 12.4 rights and feudal serfs had 0.6.
Right.
The premise at the core of our counter-argument is that equality is the primary goal, and also that raising the quantity of rights enjoyed by the disadvantaged is the preferred method of achieving it. Mm-hmm. We'd ideally like to see both men and women enjoy 2.0 rights, rather than crudely averaging them out to 1.9. And then work together to move in tandem toward 2.1, 2.2, etc. Raising the quantity of rights enjoyed by the disadvantaged group to bring it closer to the advantaged group qualifies as a Pareto improvement from both an absolute and relative perspective, as the sum total of rights across the board has increased, but the disparity of the distribution of those rights has also decreased at the same time.
Nice.
It's Aaron from England in the UK. Thank you very much for that, Aaron.